Okay. Brazos County Commissioners will meet in a workshop session April 4th, 1:30, Commissioners Courtroom, County Administration Building, 200 South Texas Avenue, Suite 106. First item on the agenda is called to order. The second is presentation of information, discussion, and direction of the FY 2022 budget due to recent needs and opportunities. Capital Improvement Fund, 4,500. Or 45,000, and 2020 certificate of obligations, 43,200. Katie.
Good afternoon. This presentation and discussion is with regards to the budget we are currently in, October 1st of 2021 to September 30th of 2022. There have been some opportunities come up that we've taken advantage of that have changed the budget, and we wanted to go ahead and do a presentation on where the budget sits today and what, so that y'all can assist in helping decide how to reallocate the funds. I started with the budget presentation that you got back in September, October for just continuity. We added in budget amendments. If you'll look at over there, we added in budget amendments that have been posted during the year. This column is the budget amendments that have been posted. We're going to start with Fund 45,000, and then we'll move to the certificates of obligation. And I'm learning the pointer. Aha. Okay. Budget amendments. This is the current amount encumbered to date. We went through with all the departments as much as we could to estimate. I went through Oracle and got everything that was encumbered, so a purchase order's been issued or an invoice has been paid. If there's no purchase order issued, it is not in this column. Okay? Balance is obviously the adopted budget plus or minus amendments minus the encumbered expense to give you the balance. The needs that we need to address today include the 2023 vehicles. We are in a situation where you can't order if you don't order vehicles in about a month, you're not going to get them next fiscal year. We did this last year. Last year we set aside $300,000, and we have $300,000 in there. But based on the estimates and quotes that we're getting now, we're going to need another $391,120. Okay.
Is that
I'm sorry?
Is that in addition to the 300 or the 300? So it's additional 391 over the 300 we have budgeted?
Yes, ma'am. We also recently had a vehicle that was in an accident. Looks like the vehicle is going to be totaled. We're going to have to get equipment. We have a vehicle, but we're going to have to get equipment to outfit it, and that's $10,000. The biggest problem is we don't know if that's going to happen again. Greens Prairie Road, we have an estimate for our 3,000 feet, is that right? Of $4.2 million. Not sure if this is going to hold steady or not. And then Juvenile. Juvenile has a situation with its pipes that's going to need to be remedied probably this fiscal year. The best estimate we can get at this time is up to $1 million. So these, we have to find $601,120. If we scroll down, you can see there is, let's see how I can do this. $3.7 million sitting in roofs. We are primarily spending the money for roof repair out of the certificates of obligation currently. This is for if that is not enough money. Okay, so there's 3.7 there. The 300,000 is committed for the cars. I went ahead and put those in the committed. You'll notice purchasing the BISD building. We moved money from contingency, and now we have an extra, now I can't even see it. What is that? That's about $10,000 that we didn't end up spending. very close to the earnest money on that one. And we won't spend it on that particular project. Follow that? We also have $1,562,000 in contingency in this fund. That was previously designated as part of the $4 million for roads, but in this fund, it wasn't always only intended for roads. It was intended, as far as best I can tell, as contingency for the fund if we need it. That's where we got the BISD money. 300. We went through, there's a lot of vehicles. What's left in this balance column is what they are not expecting to spend. So you could choose to move all these little amounts out of the vehicle accounts that have an amount here and a zero there. You could choose to move those all out into another project if that's what you want to do. Okay? I haven't added those up. I've left it no preconceived ideas. Also, we got reimbursed from the Secretary of State for the election equipment. So there's $1.3 million now available in our capital funds. As far as Oracle itself, we've gotten better estimates, and I think that's all we're going to need. Well, I don't want to shoot myself in the foot, but I think that's a good number. So that relieves some money there too. This is one project that we haven't gotten started on yet, but it's my understanding that we still need those. This, we'll probably need $100 for registration and something else. Signage. These particular vehicles don't require as extensive signage as the sheriff's office does. Keep going down, there's 3,000 there, 3,000 there, 3,000 there. Zero available here. You get down to sheriff's office, there's a little bit, as I said, the signage is a little bit more expensive, so we set aside money for this signage. This is the animal control vehicles, and those cages, we're not sure how much those are going to cost yet. They could be above this amount, but this is what's in the budget. If you keep scrolling down, this one, we have yet to actually get a piece of equipment that satisfies what we need. It's the Manitou forklift. So I'm not sure if I just went ahead and set aside all that's left in that account. We may need more than that. I don't know if y'all are aware. We got one that didn't have the equipment that we needed on it. Then we got, I think, another one that's still not right. And so we have a third coming. It was originally spent in the 2021 budget. There's the office building for Road and Bridge. Roads, Road and Bridge. This is showing that we took all $4 million out and moved it to contingency in this same fund. And then the 1.2 for Rock Prairie West Road and Bridge. And as far as I know, we have not started on that project yet. And then this is just the last little bit. So committed is $6,430,914. Total balance is $16 million. I'm taking the 16 minus the 6, and it got even smaller. $9,907,000 available for reallocation. Let me double check. And we need $5 million. So the question becomes, what would y'all like to do?
With the 9 million
Open for
plus,
comment.
I'm sorry?
with the 9 million that's uncommitted.
We need $5 million. We have $9 million, but as you can see, none of these one accounts add up to $5 million. So which ones do you want to reduce, and which of these do you want to go ahead and put in the budget? If not all of them, of the juvenile the 2023 budget, vehicles, wrecked vehicle, Greens Prairie, and then, yeah, which project do you want to continue with? Which ones would you like to use that money? I would, as you can tell by the committed column, those are the ones I wouldn't recommend you use, this 3.7 for roofs, because we don't know what the roofs are going to do yet. We have some under construction contract, but many are not. Same thing with vehicles, this 300,000 I wouldn't recommend using. If you wanted to strip all these, that's, if you want me to, I can add it up real quick.
Would you add them up?
Come back here. Uh-oh. Mouse died. There it goes. Very close. It should be subtract, yes, it is. It's subtracting out the 6. That's if you strip everything. I don't think that's what you want to do. Do you want to just do the vehicles?
So you mentioned Greens Prairie, and I have been in discussions with Brian Woods, city manager out there, and I think the 4.2 million is, I think that's a number that we can work with them, with College Station. He's been in discussions with their engineers, and I think at least some of the council. I think that's a number that I believe we can work with to try to get that Greens Prairie Trail dealt with.
Well, that would be great, because it's kind of ironic, because we've got Rock Prairie West that we've allocated money for, but that project's been waiting on getting clearance for the crossing at Union Pacific, and we'd already committed to that beforehand, and now this one may come up as faster than that. So I really thank you, Judge, for working on that, because I know that it's something where we've talked about not having the money, but it really makes sense to save money in order to do that, and there's going to be a significant need there, and I really appreciate your work in that regard, and us doing the exercise here to find the money.
Yeah, I mean, early on we didn't, but it's, you know, it's certainly a project that needed to be addressed, and, you know, now that it looks like we can come up with a way to fund that, and I believe, based on Brian Woods, the discussions I've had with him, I think that that's a number that they can live with and we can live with, and we can make it happen. So if the court
Is that
chooses
inclusive
to
of
do
right-of-way acquisition?
I think if there's other cost above that, I think that College Station will deal with what's above. I believe the 4.2. If we can come up with 4.2, I think that I believe that they can make it work.
Okay, and then they would take over the maintenance.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
same as we have in our agreement on Rock Prairie West.
Yes.
Which was a great model for us to work in collaboration with the city on that. I appreciate that.
Judge, I'd like to discuss the road and bridge building whenever we get to that point in the conversation. I think that we had budgeted $4 million for a building for road and bridge. We've not done anything on that so far. Truthfully, design and demolition of the old AgriLife building would probably be about $400,000 or less. And that would take almost a year to get that thing designed and ready to go under construction or to be bid. I'm proposing that the Commissioners Court might want to take that $3.6 million and use that on this College Station project, but to actually begin design of that road and bridge building now.
Yeah, I agree. I think
Yeah.
that's a good plan.
Yes, because it's going to take a year to design it, and so to put the money towards the design and then the building in the next budget year makes a lot of sense.
So you want us to take the 3.81, which is currently budgeted for the road and bridge building, leave 400,000, is that what I heard?
That's what I propose.
And then the rest so that'll leave 3,481,000 to go towards Greens Prairie, is that what I heard?
Yeah, I your number may be accurate, the 300 or 400 or whatever. I
Right.
mean, we want to leave enough in there to take care of
Absolutely,
the
absolutely.
project, but I don't know what that number is. If that's accurate, then that's what we need to leave. And
I would defer to road and bridge, but I think 400,000 may be close.
okay,
So if you take that, I know, this number is pretty much stripping or zeroing, maybe I should say that, contingency, both of those contingencies, this amount left in fleet, the amount left, the election equipment amount, the 16 left over from the tax office, although we're not sure if that's going to be, but I left all of the money for IT in case, so I took all the money for the tax office. If they need more, we can always move it if there's extra money in IT. So I didn't take everything. Does that make sense? And so, and then also the county auditor, I didn't take anything out of that either because we're looking at still some needed. I didn't take anything out of facility services, but I took all the amounts left over from county attorney, district attorney, 85th, which had nothing, excuse me, sheriff's office. No, I didn't take sheriff's office either. So I left the 470,000 for the courthouse security revamp enhancement. So I left that. We'd still be doing that project. Took out the other extras. Didn't take anything out of Expo. That comes up to a total of 3.5. If you take that and add 3,581 from Road and Bridge, you come up with 7 million. And you've got your 5 million covered. Okay,
Just,
that's all.
I know we're talking about these in account order as far as that goes, but none of this, okay, and I guess the reason I'm asking is balances that we've still got available in certificates of obligation. Some of these projects would be suitable if we were to use CO that were authorized for, that's still available, plus some of these projects would also be the types of things that we could do with our Lost Revenue Recovery Plan Act, but we don't have that on the agenda to talk about. But
Did the analysis of the CO funds too. We have a balance of 9.9 with 9.1 committed. Most of that is roofs.
okay, so we've got 9 point on the certificates of
So,
obligation.
yes, here it is right here.
Okay.
And do you want us to go ahead and hand it out?
So,
I didn't want to get confused between the two funds.
okay.
Nina? So that was 9.9 is what's available after purchase orders and invoices. This is what's committed. Most of that is
So there's 800,000 in COs that are available?
JP1 and roofs. Are you following? Does that make sense, Commissioner?
Okay.
No, I didn't want to get confused, but because they look very similar.
This is COs?
Okay, so there's 800K that's not committed.
In the COs?
Yes. If I'm
No,
look- if
yes, I'm sorry,
if I'm
800,000,
looking at
yes.
that number right?
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
And I know we're authorized, we're held to what we've committed to for those, but what of these projects would be appropriate for us to use?
The
CO
COs were
money for-
authorized to include the Justice of the Peace and Constable Building, Precinct 1, which we have in there. Land and/or property for county facilities, including the facility services and road and bridge departments. Equipment and vehicles for various county departments, roof replacement and repairs,
Okay.
countywide road improvements and rehabilitation, payment of contractual obligations for professional services in connection with such projects. And
Okay, so we're pretty wide open for all the categories that we've talked about here.
yes, sir.
That's great.
Main thing the budget doesn't address is time to get it done. So,
Yeah. And is there, well, I guess, we could use any or all of that 800K for any or all of, or for a portion of any of these projects?
that were listed in
as
the bond,
well?
yes.
Okay.
Mhm.
Or could we put that towards the purchase of the BISD admin building and then reimburse ourselves for that? Use to amortize that building to the tune of about that's about 1/3 of the total amount that we spent on it.
Land and/or property for county facilities, including facility services and road and bridge departments. I would have to ask bond counsel for
Okay.
their opinion on that.
Okay. Well, I don't have a problem using debt service for roads because I think that, and putting the certificates of obligation out there because the way we've done it is everybody who lives in Brazos County has paid for the roads because we've saved up the money and written a check for them. And everybody that's moving here that gets to use those roads doesn't really make any real contribution. And I think it would be beneficial for us to use debt service. That's one of the reasons I indicated that we needed to use debt service for roads. So I think that's great. I think that the people who move here into our community, being able to continue to pay for some of the things that growth has created, makes a lot of sense instead of it just being based on everybody that's already here. Thanks.
The only other concern I might have about the COs is that when we are in a situation, let's see if I can remember it, in an arbitrage situation, which we kind of are because of the interest rates, we want to spend within 3 years.
Correct.
Which if we've already bought the BISD, then we've already spent it.
Or we'll be earning an interest potentially more than what we're paying,
On tax exempt, yes.
and that's not allowed.
IRS wants their fair share.
I got you. Well, let's keep the money local.
Do y'all have any other questions or discussions?
So just, can you recap for me where we are now? So far, it was 9.9 million that was reallocated, available for reallocation. If we committed 4.2 to Greens Prairie, that left 5.7 from your numbers, right? If we took that other 9.9,
So we have 9.9 from everything, leaving lots of it where it's at to finish out. I was taking out 3.5 million out of budgets that it doesn't seem like we're going to use those funds for that, and then adding the 3.5 from Road and Bridge to get to 7.1, which is, we only need 5 for all 4 of these up here.
well, the other road and bridge project that was on the list that we had here was some of the initial work for IG&N.
In which fund? COs or non-COs?
4,500.
Yeah, I wasn't touching anything except the road and bridge building budget. So it still
Road
left
and
the
bridge
1.2.
Building budget.
Yes.
Gotcha, okay.
Still left the 1.2 for Rock Prairie West.
Okay.
And there's that, I mean, we can
Yeah,
evaluate it.
well, we've rolled that forward for 1 year now or 2 years? The Rock Prairie West?
This is a first year budgeted because it was, it's an IOA that should be paid this year.
Okay.
It's a college station.
Okay, thank you.
Well, and there's potentially some issues that were out at juvenile and potentially the jail in some of the old portions that, may, depending on what we find as we investigate whether it may cost money and, could be some significant money. And so you always need to be prepared with money left in the budget for things that are unforeseen, and that's the kind of thing that pops up all the time that you just, nobody knows until you find them. And
Well, we won't have any more contingency in 45,000 with this. And I don't have anything on here for the jail.
Yeah.
So we could have to do this again, depending on.
Okay. All right.
Okay, so do we need to take any action on?
No, we can't
No,
take
this
any
is a
action.
workshop.
Just for
I think it's just direction
No
about
action.
direction for you?
I think I have direction.
Super. You
If-
got everything you need from us?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
Sure.
If I may ask or request clarification on the road and bridge building, are we only talking about new construction for road and bridge admin? Or what are we gonna do about the existing issues with the existing road and bridge building? Do we consider that?
I do think that's a good idea, because whatever, if we get the new building built, then we're gonna readdress some of the old buildings, so we probably ought to be looking at that. At the same time, we're looking at the.
We typically like to comprehensive view
Yes,
of the
I
entire
think
situation.
that'd be a good idea to.
If that's
But
okay
we
with
want
the
to go
court.
ahead with the design work for the new building.
It- Yes, ma'am.
I think that was the direction from court today.
Yes, the new building, and then I think what Charles's question was, the old building that's there, it will be using it for something, and there were some issues with it. That's
Yeah.
kind of why we're looking at this, so I think
Right.
we ought to be looking at that building too and see what it's gonna take to.
The concern is if we don't address those issues that it already is experiencing, then they will continue to be exacerbated. And with that building will not be open and empty, that it will have occupants. If they're significant enough to make us review this in the first place, we need to address them and not just kick the can down the road.
So Charles, are you thinking that we need to allocate more funds for that? I mean, we've said the 400,000 is gonna be for the new building and demolition of the new building. Do we need to come up with some more money to look at the old building?
I think that what we have is a good starting place, and then in the event that we do look at potential cost overrun on what y'all have allocated, then we can come back to the court and readdress any requests.
Just real quick, I did look at both of those as two separate projects.
Yes.
So there would be an increase in design fee, but it probably would be cost effective to include both at the same time. As I included them as two separate projects, the existing building, I put in a design fee about 200,000 to go back and look at what needs to be done in the existing building if we were to do it as a separate project.
200,000?
Yeah, yes, for the,
Judge, I think we need to consider 200,000 for that
Additional
existing
budget.
building, additional budget for that
Yeah.
building.
So,
So that's
that-
600 for.
600,000,
Yeah.
yes.
Okay.
And then, so that puts us with a bottom line of what we can look at for contingencies and ideas in the future of what amount?
6.9 minus that in there, 5.6, so 1.3, about $1 million.
Okay.
And the Recovery Act dollars cannot be applied to the building process or to the road?
Can't say, I can't say that. Either way. We'll have to have a
Possibly
separate
check
meeting
our
with regards to those
consultant and
funds.
see if that money could be considered for some of this that we're talking
I
about.
don't think it's included in the discussion today, but,
Okay.
No.
Okay,
Yeah.
we can talk about it tomorrow.
Yeah, I'm glad we got the update on where we are on the certificates of obligation. I think that's great. And kind of looking forward is the estimate on lost revenue on Recovery Plan Act. I'd like to have, we talked basically about that, but I'd like to have let's circle back around on that and take a look at how we want to commit those funds too. I think that'd be a great workshop with our consultant as well.
okay.
Super, thank you for the work.
Any,
You're welcome.
any other discussion? Hearing none, the next item is to adjourn. Thank you, everybody, for the work.